top 11 wide receivers coming out of the 2023 draft. My first guy is Tyler Scott. Now, let me say this. The guy is very shifty. He's fast. He can take the top off the defense, and that's his game. As far as his route concept and his route running ability, I don't see a lot of that out of his game. Now, he will probably be playing inside the slot on the next level, not primarily on the outside. Nevertheless, his speed, his burst acceleration is there. He will be a great opportunity for a team to also utilize him at punt returns and kick returns and use him as the specialized weapon. That speed is top tier, and I like what he brings to the table. Now, Jalin Hyatt. A lot of people have been talking about this man's 40 time. A lot of people got angry that he ran a 4.440. Now, when you look at his skill set, yes, he is another guy that you will probably line inside the slot. He can take the top off the defense. Not the best of the best route trees as far as what his skill set brings to the table. Nevertheless, you still have to respect his speed. Even at 4.4, we know that he can get top accelerations at the top of his route, and he can find a soft spot in the zone. His catch radius is a little bit bigger than Tyler Scott, and on top of that, he can take it the distance, especially on those dump off and underneath passes. So don't sleep on Jalin Hyatt, even though he didn't get the 40 time that a lot of people were looking for. Now, the next wide receiver that I have will be this guy right here, falling just under the top 10. He is number 9 on my list. This is Rashee Rice. And Rashee Rice, he can do just about everything within the confines of a route tree, subtle speed. Far as his route ability, it's a little bit better than the previous two guys. Now, he don't have the flat out burner speed, but he is a guy that can find the soft areas in the zone. He's a good height, good size, 6'1.5". He is a receiver that can catch those difficult passes, and I like what he brings to the table. He will be a great pickup for a team. Eventually the outside wide receiver that can work himself back inside. I like what he brings to the table. Catch that ball too. Now, A.T. Perry. Let me say this right quick. For anyone who needs a tall physical wide receiver that got a little wiggle room to him, and this guy's 6'4.5", right at 6'5", and he catches everything, tall catch radius, and he was utilizing Wake Forest as that guy that you can throw inside the middle. You can also send him on go routes or what have you, and he find ways to find the ball. Now, as far as his overall skill set, yes, he will have to work on and improve on a lot of things. But man, that catch radius is just ridiculous, and he's good for many of teams, especially if you're looking for that future wide receiver. Now, Michael Wilson, he's another guy that's 6'1.5", big body wide receiver, great route concepts within the route tree. He do set up routes pretty well, have a little issues of sinking his hips. Nevertheless, this dude have that burst, that subtle burst, and he is a guy that I really like out of this list. When you think of what he brings to the table, you adding into a fact that this wide receiver class, not a lot of big boys with a little burst and agility. He is one of those guys that you can fit right on in, and he catches everything. He got a good speed. He can separate from you, and he's a guy that, shoot, you got to put him in your top 10 list over here. Now, when I tell you guys, dynamite come in small packages. Nathaniel Dell, they call him Tank, and they call him Tank for a reason. Now, far as the combine, he didn't run the best time. Like I said, the underwear Olympics sometimes can get your mind all gone, right? It makes you refuse to look back at the tape. But if you just pay attention and trust the tape, yes, he ran a 4.540, but we all know on the field of play, he don't have that type of speed. He's faster. And there's a different situation between speed, being fast versus being quick. And he got that short area quickness. Yes, he's small. He's not the biggest of the biggest out there. But when you see him out there on the field, you think of a tank. He figure out ways to find a soft spot in the zone. He can crease it and cut the field in half. I like what I see out of him, and I think that this dude is much more than just a wide receiver. He's an ultimate weapon. You can use him in the backfield, on those end arounds, as well as punt return, the kick return. Tank Dell. Pay attention to the man. Don't hate the size, because this dude brings it all to the table. All right, so the case of small wide receivers, Josh Downs. I'm telling you guys right now, don't hate the size. I get it. These under 6 foot wide receivers been all around. They all run 4.4s and 4.5s. Some run 4.3s or what have you, just depending on the day, right? Nevertheless, this dude catches everything you throw at him. Yes, and he's slippery. Once he got the ball, he give you yak action. And on top of that, if you're looking for someone with that short area quickness, he can do that. Look, some people have him as a comp as a Kadarius Toney, but I look at him as a guy that you can give him the ball in space and he would create the rest. He would create those avenue ways of helping your quarterback out, and he can turn 3 yards into 4 yards and 4 yards into 6 yards. I like what he brings to the table, and if it's an opening there, he will find that way and make you pay. I like Josh Downs. I think that, yes, his size, and a lot of people will look at the program that he came from. People will try to use that against him as a knock. But this is the new age of the small wide receivers, man, and they've been kicking. They have been. And speaking of that, this is a guy just right below 6 foot as well, but he got short area quickness. He can find the soft spot in the zone, come back to the ball. He's more of a yak guy, not necessarily a burner. Didn't gain a lot of touchdowns on the collegiate side of it, but you can see that he's a nuanced route runner. Good feet, good hip sync, and he's probably one of the better route runners out of this draft, believe it or not. And he brings a lot to the table. Yes, he need a sandwich. He's 176 pounds, give or take, right at 5'11". But when you see him with the ball, explosiveness is there, the yak ability is there, and the dude got unbelievable hands. I like what he brings to the table. I like all what he do. Shout out to this man right here, Jordan Addison, being who he is out there on the field. I like. Now the next person, Jaxson Smith-Njigba. Njigba is a dude that I'm telling you, he is probably by far one of the better route runners out of this top 10 list. And on top of that, you can line him up inside, you can line him up on the outside, but on this next level, he will primarily be your slot guy. Yak action is his game. Yes, he's not a 4-3 guy. I know a lot of people love the 4-2s or what have you. And I know the new 4-4 is the new 4-5, and the new 4-5 is the new 4-7. Everybody is slow when you say 4-5. However, when you look at short area quickness, the ability to find an opening spot on the field, sink, come back toward the ball, greet the ball with your hands, he brings all of that to the table, and he's a yak guy. And on top of that, he got great feet. When you look at his feet, you see that he can create the separation. He's kind of like a CeeDee Lamb in a sense of his separation, and that is before and after the catch. I like what he brings to the table. Jaxson will be a guy that will be a threat for most people, and I can't wait to see him out there on the field. The next guy, number 2 on this list, is Quentin Johnston. I know a lot of people had him as the number 1 for sure wide receiver on their list for his height and size or what have you. Some have him listed as 6'4". Officially, he's 6'2.5". So that's a long way from 6'4". Nevertheless, he got subtle speed, great hands, can catch the difficult balls, what have you. He only had 6 touchdowns last year. Nevertheless, he is the target, and he's one of those guys when you look back at it and you'll say, from TCU, this is a dude that when his number is called, he stand tall. I like what he brings to the table, his overall skill set. A team will be happy to groom him in. I wouldn't make him your number 1 wide receiver day 1. However, when you draft a guy like this, you have to have plans for him to be eventually your number one wide receiver on your team. He got that type of skill set. He can line anywhere out there, inside, outside, catch the difficult passes. He makes your quarterback happy because he come down with the ball. So I like what he brings to the table. The short area quickness is there. Finding a soft spot in the zone. He can do it all. Subtle speed. I like this guy, Quentin Johnston. I like him. All right, so the number one wide receiver out of the 2023 draft is Zay Flowers. Can do it all at 5'9", a 4'2" guy, and you got to like what he brings to the table. He was a guy that gained about 8 to 12 pounds and still kept speed. Those are things that I look for. Short area quickness is there. His in and out of his cuts, his vision. He can see the entire field. You can pretty much use him as the end around guy. You can use him as kickoff, punt return guy. He is the end all be all as it relates to his skill set from a wide receiver coming out of the 2023 draft. When you look back at his film, it's hard to see the inefficiencies in his game outside of his height and size. Outside of that, when you look at everything else, you will see a dog nasty mentality, someone that you can even throw on the underneath route. You blink your eyes twice and now he's upfield. I got him like a Steve Smith. He's not as aggressive as Steve Smith, but he's up there as that guy that's going to be like a linchpin on the next level. And he brings a lot to the table. So shout out to the area of the small wide receivers. He's my number one wide receiver. Let me know who you guys really like out of this 2023 draft. Let me know. Post me your thoughts. Post me your concerns down below. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Salute.